Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Ja Bla Utlanding. I know the name's still going to take a while for you guys to digest, but it's all in good humor and it's all good. It's nothing to do with, making people feel bad or anything. No, it's just fun. Everybody is a foreigner or fucking foreigner. Everybody is. So today we have Leo, a really good friend of mine, and an intelligent man and an all-round good guy. He's a filmmaker and also the leader of the Stavanger Filmakers Club. And he has opted to help me out today with this. And we're going to see how this works out. Okay, so Leo, welcome to the show.
Cheers.
We were going to talk about immigration today.
Mm-hmm.
Immigration, what is the difference between an immigrant and an expat? No, okay. Let's not go to that.
You're trying to end the podcast in the first minute.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. So we were talking about why what made us move to Norway from our individual respective homes. Why we came here and what we do here. So it's a little bit of getting to know what the backstory, so you get to know exactly why we're here and what we do. So Leo, maybe you should go first.
Okay. So yeah.
When did you move here and why?
I came here in 2013, and it's because I did my master's in chemical engineering in London, and then they gave me Statoil at the time gave me a scholarship. So I applied to them for a job, because I was like, if you want to pay for my master's, you probably want to meet me.
Yeah.
And nobody else did want to meet me because I didn't have any kind of reputation.
Okay.
So then I had a job interview in Trondheim, which was the first time I came to Norway. And then they offered me a job in Stavanger, which I'd never been to, but I was like, that's a very cool thing to do when you're like 24 when they offered that. I was like, yeah, cool. Sure, why not? Stavanger. I've never heard of it. Yeah, I'll go live there. The rest, I've been here like almost 10 years now. Like, sure, why not? And it took me a long time to get established here for many reasons. First, I think just being, like having my 25th birthday soon after I arrived here.
Okay.
Seems very, very young now. I was in like an apartment that the company set up for me for a year in Glasgow, which is like in this like little retirement community where I didn't know any of my neighbors. I didn't know where anyone was. And when I'm from Scotland, so I remember I did like an internship in Aberdeen, and after the very first day of work, everyone invited me to the pub because they go to the pub like every night. Yeah. So I had friends the day I arrived.
Okay.
As for Norway, I think I had friends a year after I arrived.
Yeah.
It took me a really long time. And it was, but also, now like you say, I run this filmmaking club because for a long time here in Stavanger, I was like, there aren't things happening that I would like to happen. And then my conclusion to that would be, what a shame. And then I'd go back to bed, you know?
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm like, there's not things happening I want to happen. I should make them happen then, you know? So an awkward time for me growing up, having to put myself out there. I'm not good at putting myself out there, but you just have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Now I feel appreciated and
Yeah.
yeah.
What's up, Kai?
Hiya.
Is that still filming? Can you just check for me? Is that still filming?
Looks like it's filming.
Nice, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, come in and say hi. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kai.
Howdy.
He's helping us out with the venue. Big shout out to Fri Bar for letting us host this podcast here. And, they're just the coolest people in town.
Apart from us.
Apart from us, just as you know. So why did you feel like it took you a year to get to know people here?
Oof, well, because I guess as like an introvert, I've always relied on other people to make friends with me.
Yeah.
And Norwegians are kind of an introverted people, so that wasn't going to happen. I had to put myself out there. Also, when I joined the company, I was like the young. I think everyone in my team was like 40 or over. They all had kids. Most of them were Norwegians. They had all of their friends from school. They were done. They were fine. They didn't need anyone new. They had their own lives. They had their own stuff going on. They weren't going to reach out to me. That's fine. It was the weird situation, culture shock.
Yeah.
Me not putting myself out there. Me being young and expecting other people to do things for me, in a way. So just, having to grow up, having to learn what the people were like, and having to find my place here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Yeah, I've heard that many times. Even I experienced that when I got here. Like I came here in 2014. A little bit about me. 2014, I left Dubai because I was a recording and traveling musician. So I traveled, and my base was Dubai. So I played with a lot of bands there, and I traveled the world with them. And I lived in India for a few years, and then I lived in. I traveled back and forth to Cape Town quite a bit, and Thailand, and then I moved back to Dubai, and then I came here in 2014 because I wanted to take a break from that life. I wanted to see what maybe life had something else to offer me. So you got here when you were 25.
Yep.
I got here when I was 29, and I came here to study at the University of Stavanger. I did music production and recording under Mark. What up, Mark? And I decided that I would stay here only for a few years because at first it was really hard to connect with people. Like I felt like Norwegians were very reserved in a way. Like I kind of felt like they were, reserved. They didn't want to speak to you unless you were spoken to. So it was kind of hard at first, but it wasn't that hard for me because I kind of clicked. I'm a musician, so I'm always out in the social nightlife culture. So people are. There's also a saying that Norwegians have to drink about 3 beers, and then that's when the smile comes out, and you're friendly, and you're there, you're bros, and everyone loves you, and it's that. But I think that's true to a certain level, but I don't think it's. I think it's still a stereotype. I think there's stereotyping, but there's so many people. Like, remember when we were doing the Oil Collective, they weren't even drinking, those two old, the old couple. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry to say old, but clearly they were in their 70s, I think, or late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. Retired, and they were sitting there, and they were so friendly. Like he was so surprised to know that we were on TikTok, and he was, you guys filming? So there are many people like that, but I think general crowd is quite reserved. Yeah, I've noticed that when you go out and you have a drink with and you meet 2 new people whilst drinking, and then you wake up the next morning and you see them on the street, they probably just walk right past you. Yeah. Because I don't know, maybe they're shy or they're embarrassed of their actions the previous night. Maybe that could be the reason. But I'm the kind of guy I was like, hey. It was super nice to see you. Thank you for last night. It was so amazing, but I never get a chance to tell you because you don't want to look at me. And then they walk away. Yeah. So I think it's just mostly they are reserved within themselves because they're embarrassed. Yeah, they probably made a fool of themselves while they were drunk, and they don't know how to respond to you.
Yeah, I found that tough as well because it feels like a lot of that drunken goodwill gets undone when you see them in when you see them sober life. Yeah. It's a different world.
Who are you really? Which one is this? Yeah. But I feel like it's I'm a person who's energy based. So I feed off people's energies. I see people's energies, and I think that it's mostly it depends on when they see you. But that's the funny thing, because in Norway, if you make eye contact with someone, they actually look back at you, and I always had this thing where people look at me and they just do this, like, and I do that back, and it's nice. Like if you have a smile, they smile back. So that's a pleasant thing. I think they're really pleasant people, but they're just a little too shy and introverted. They don't know how to get out there that fast. But also you meet people who are really like extravagantly, extroverted, and they're just all about, hey, nice to meet you, where are you from? Yeah. And they're those kind, right? I've also met people who are like that, who can be extremely borderline racist, but they seem to be the ones who are super excited all the time. And I was like, hey, I thought you wanted to get to know me. Oh, you're from Dubai? He's like, yeah. Oh, you like to oppress women? What? Okay. No. Yeah. Where did you see that? And they're like, yeah, we read the news. And I was like, okay, so you're one of them. All right, that's good for you. No, I don't oppress women. And actually, my mom was the first person who drove us around. My mom had the license first for a car compared to my father. So
nice.
It's it goes on and on like that. So that you meet a lot of people who
We all stereotype one another.
yeah, somehow there's always a sort of boxing everybody because it's comfortable that way.
Yeah.
You feel like you have an upper hand or something to say.
Yeah.
It's like when people come up to you and they start a conversation with you, and if I say that, oh yeah, what is your where are you from? Are you from Dubai? I say, yeah, I'm from Dubai. He's like, oh, hello. What is it? Oh, you do Allahu Akbar. I was like, oh, okay.
Somebody did that to you?
Oh, so many times.
Oh my God.
Oh, are you a sheikh? Like you have a lot of money? You must have a lot of money. I was like, wow, I haven't even started telling you who I am, but
That's
you've
so
already
random.
assumed so many different boxes that you're familiar with.
What's the population of Dubai?
I think
Huge,
it's
right?
about, I'm not mistaken, 11 million?
Okay, you can't all be sheikhs then. It's like,
There's no way.
One
Like, are you serious? If
Yeah.
I was a sheikh, why on God's green earth would I be here?
that should be your response to that.
What is that
Maybe you
draws
want to
me
buy
here?
it.
Maybe I want to
Stavanger.
buy
Yeah, Stavanger, yeah.
Like they would give me Stavanger.
Yeah, turn it into like an airfield.
Yeah.
Just pave it.
I was like, yo, listen, like, I just said I was from Dubai. How about we get into that place where we have a peaceful
Yeah.
banter? You know, where we talk about...
In general, I think...
get to know me a little bit
Yeah.
before you assume that I am like this and like that.
In general, what really disturbs me about talking to anyone is that lots of people say things they don't mean, or
Yeah.
they say the first thing that pops into their head comes out their mouth. And I'm neither of those. Like if I say I'm going to be a place, I'll be there at that time.
Yeah.
And almost nobody else does this. You have to guess, or you have to think what they implied, and then you have to go off of that. And I'm not a mind reader, you know.
No.
You just have to tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. But with me, it's always like, oh, the British guy doesn't know any languages, because the first question is always like, oh, have you learned Norwegian yet? And I'm like, no. And then they're like, oh, British people. And I happen to speak.
What, really?
Yeah, but I happen to speak fluent Spanish because my partner's Spanish. Not that they assumed that, you know. And Spanish, by the way, is a way more useful language. I can talk to like 90% of the planet.
Yeah.
After learning Spanish, if I learn Norwegian, I can talk to the same amount of people as before, except
Yeah.
now I also know the language Norwegian, and it took a lot of work. And also, I think it's my question about whether or not you're appreciated here is I think there's a balance between if you show up in a country that's like your host country, to a certain extent, you should get to demonstrate the way in which you are of value to that country. Because for me, it took me a long time to form this film club. I've been writing for a really long time, and it's like a unique skill, and nobody else was doing it. So I was like, great, I found a unique value that I have for this place that no one else was providing. But then I still get asked, have you learned Norwegian yet? And it's like, no, I learned how to do all of this, so I can do this thing that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
So that was my question to you about whether or not you're appreciated is because there are certain expectations of what you should do once you arrive here to integrate, more so than there are expectations that as somebody from another country you should have something unique to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that tough.
But don't you think that there's a balance there for that? I think
Yeah,
some people are really like, okay, for me, for instance, I was when in 2017 I was on a TV show. Let's not give them too much credit by saying the name of the TV show. I was on a TV show, okay, and it has something to do with singing.
Are you on a TV show, by the way? You
Yeah.
haven't brought it up in like 5 minutes. every topic it's going to be. But oh yeah, when I was on this TV show.
Yeah, when I was on this TV show.
Yeah, every time.
No, because the last time we were talking about that, we weren't recording.
We should. Oh, don't you wish we were? You know, so you could let everyone know.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
there's one time when I was on a TV show. Yeah. No, I was on a TV show, and I kind of felt like it was super nice to be a part of Stavanger at that point and living here, because I felt like there were so many people who really championed me. They really pushed, and that was something that I really appreciated. Right. So I did not feel like a foreigner at that time.
Okay.
I felt like I belonged. They were like, no, you're from here, man.
Nice.
Because they just let me be a part of them.
Cool.
And they were always behind me. They were always championing, always liking my social media, following. They mobilized groups to vote for me. So there were like people who were spending like 600 to 700 or almost 1,000 NOK just voting for me.
Nice.
And I was just like, oh my God, wow. And I could maybe take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them for doing that, because it truly changed my perspective on life. Like,
Nice.
how being from outside, coming here and having to live with the whole, oh, you're a foreigner, you need to learn the language, you're not going to integrate if you don't learn the language, and you need to respect the culture. I was like, yes, of course I do. But I respect the culture of Norwegians.
Yep.
But there's also people, who will kind of give you the other side of the stick.
Yeah. But I think you bring up an excellent point, which I would say about Norwegians and how to appreciate them, is look to their actions.
Yeah.
Because they do very valuable actions, and like nothing's more valuable than actions over words. So maybe they don't talk a lot, but they do a lot of lovely things.
Yes.
And they are very grateful for you. Like for me, when I go around town now, like I have a favorite coffee shop, I have a favorite bookshop, and when I go in, I'll get a discount because they know that I go there all the time. Or if I go to the bookshop, they will set stuff aside that they think I might be interested
that you like,
in.
yeah.
Yes, I get to see it first.
This is fantastic. I love that part. I love that thing about them, because they're always so genuinely caring.
Really thoughtful people.
Yeah, they're thoughtful. Like, so though when they see you from like, I have never met any of the people I've met in the nightlife business, in the service industry here. None of them have ever been a stranger anywhere. They've always been like, JereMaya. They scream my name out, even if they're not drunk, which is like, what we talked about, like the sober versus not sober realities. They've never been like that. They've always been so warm, friendly, and they come, I'm the physical guy. I'm the guy who hugs. You can see that there's a little bit of a reservation there, like, they're not that
for them,
friendly. But I try to like break that, and I just like, come, give me a hug. And then when they come and they give me a hug, they're like, oh, you give such nice hugs. And I was just like, yeah, everybody deserves that. Like, I think it's just spreading the love. Not during COVID, because apparently that was the first thing you could do, handshakes, COVID. But I feel like there's goodness to the people. There's always been a goodness. There's something about the people that there's kindness there. There's some sort of understanding. And interesting enough, I was trying to see why Norway has not been a part of the EU, which is pretty cool, because one of the reasons is because they don't want interference from the outside for their values. They have a strong set of values that they're very proud of. They're very patriotic. They're very patriotic, and they have a bunch of values that they value, and I respect that, because that shows, to me, it shows a lot of independence and integrity. Yeah. Like, they have taken so many years to build this. Now, just because there's a certain sense of, loud screams from around the world, oh, we should do this, we should do that, they're like, no, we take our time.
Yeah.
And if it's going to collapse, well, that's that. Well, we're not going to jump right in and just take over. Yeah. And it's also really funny, because there's this thing called janteloven. I don't know if you know what that is. You've heard of it. Yeah. It's so funny, because a man who wears, I hate people who wear socks and
socks and sandals.
Sandals. It's super weird. Like, it's never been a fashion statement to me in any way. But I saw a man who wore that, and I was a little like, why? Why? Let me take those off for you, my friend. Just go bare feet, like, And he was just wearing a rag t-shirt. He looked like as if he hadn't had a bath in about 3 days. But that's just not. He's just like that. Like, he looks like that, but he smells great, and he's clean, he's hygienic, and all of it. But this guy is a multi-millionaire, but he's so down to earth. Right. And he drives. He doesn't show off with his Rolls Royce or Lamborghinis. There's no show. They're just humble like that. At least the majority of the people who have money and who are rich, they don't want to show that they have that. It's not about that. Yeah. The money is something that they keep for security, and also the fact that in Svalbard they have another thing is that they have this. It's like a doomsday
Oh yeah, the seed shelter
seed
thing. Yeah,
shelter.
yeah. Mm.
That is insane, man. Like that's crazy. Like in the event of something, like an apocalypse or something, they would have food. They actually have reserves to. This is
very cool.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
these are the kind of things that I love about the Norwegian people.
Technological leaders and
Technological
yeah.
leaders and just basic integrity. Like their integrity
Yeah.
is super good. So you just need to respect that.
Yeah.
And I also feel like there are a bunch of people who take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because they have that integrity, and they come up with the other end of the stick, as I mentioned. They come up to you and they're like, "What? You haven't done Norwegian yet? How dare you?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I am allowed to be who I am.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't get it, and I don't have the time to learn it. It's not that it's a disrespectful thing. I'm not disrespecting you by not learning it. It's just, quite honestly, I haven't had the time to get around to it
Yeah.
because there's so much going on in my life, right? So I've never.
Well, the thing is-
now I am, because my 4-year-old son is Norwegian, and he teaches me. So I ask him.
Well, I've noticed something that there's kind of a divide between, when you talk about the friendly Norwegians, they tend to be ones who have lived in other countries for a while.
Yeah.
And there's also the very, especially here in Stavanger, the very, very local ones who are innocent in a way to other countries and other people and everything. And so those are the ones who are more likely to ask you to learn Norwegian. And they'll be a bit more nervous about using their English, even though it's always perfect. It's always incredible, yeah.
You Norwegians really need to understand. Most times you guys speak really well.
Immaculate, better than me, yeah.
There's no discussion there. There's no problems, and
No need to be
nobody
afraid.
is offended by
We're just
the way you
grateful.
speak it.
We're grateful
You're
that you speak
super
it.
nice
Yeah.
and super grateful that you guys speak it.
Yeah.
And it's and you guys speak really well. Like it's, compared to most other European countries. Like,
Oh, it's wild, yeah.
I mean, I have a few French friends, and I know they're going to hit me right after this, but
Say no more. But,
they don't more.
yeah. But the thing is, like, they're asking, like, can you speak Norwegian so that you can speak to us? But they're not asking about the Norwegian language. They're asking, can you speak Norwegian culture to us? Can you talk to me about the biathlon or like the women's handball event? Can you talk to me about going to your cabin? Can you talk to me about skiing? And it's like, no, I can't talk about any of those things because that's your culture. And what they're really asking when they say, can you speak Norwegian, is can you speak to us on our topics? And the answer to that is always going to be no, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not what I offer, you know.
But I've had an interesting conversation about that. I asked, why is it that when you speak English so well that you struggle to speak to me? And you keep asking me like, oh, what's the word? They go into what's the word in English? And I was like, just, you know, I think they get into this state of mind where they really have to convey their message, but it kind of stops because they're not used to speaking English so often.
Yeah.
So they lose the words and then they get frustrated.
Yeah.
And when that frustration kicks in, they're like, oh, you really have to learn Norwegian. You know, it's just an automatic response.
Yeah. No, often when I hear that, it's an insecure thing on their part.
Yeah.
That they turn into, it's your fault 'cause you haven't learned Norwegian, because they feel a bit.
Yeah, they
anxious.
feel that, but I don't
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it comes from a negative place. I think it
No,
comes
no,
from
no,
a
no,
very
no.
frustrated place
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
can't say it.
Yeah.
They're just not able to, oh, I don't know the word.
No,
what
absolutely.
is it?
Because
Yeah.
like if you're having a conversation, then if suddenly the conversation turns to, why the hell do I know your language and you don't know mine? It's like, wow, we're gonna have to go through history.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a lot of
So
stuff there.
It's something that you can't often broach with them.
Yeah, but sometimes life happens to people. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes just life just happens. Like there's no. I mean, I understand if you're doing a 9 to 5, you have to integrate into society. Okay, let's say that hypothetically, I need to go and get a job at I don't know, Kiwi. I need to know Norwegian.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And to all my
No
Norwegians,
question.
to all the Norwegians watching, jeg forstår norsk. Jeg forstår. But jeg snakker babynorsk. Like
I'm the same,
I speak babynorsk. So I probably won't get a job at Kiwi because my language is impaired.
Yeah.
Like my Norwegian is not up,
Yeah.
you know, at par with what they expect of me. But in my profession, as in yours and mine, like not your
Yeah,
hobby,
no, the same. Yeah,
the filmmakers and the musician thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really entitled to learn the language. It's not a requirement for me. I don't really need to speak Norwegian to get my music across.
Yeah.
Because most of the songs and most of the artists who sing here in town they all sing English.
Yeah. No, that's the thing that was frustrating to me until I figured it out, is that when I had my filmmaking club, and I've had to not listen to people for a very long time to invest all this time in writing and in filmmaking.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It won't make money. It's not interesting. You're not good at it. But years and years and years of hearing this from everyone in order to get to the stage of starting a filmmaking club. And so to start that club and have everyone be there and then say, and when are you going to learn Norwegian on top of all the work I've done in order to feel confident enough to make this thing and run it every week. It was really annoying until I realized that the people who were asking me, why haven't you learned Norwegian? They're saying, God, I love this thing. I would be able to participate in it so much better if it was run in Norwegian.
Yeah.
And that's what they just have to say to you. And to that, I can be very compassionate. But I also have to say, you have to calm down. I work constantly. Every single hour that I'm awake, I'm doing something to get better at the things I've decided that I'm good at and that I would like to offer to you. One of them is not the Norwegian language, because I'm bad at languages. And I know you feel you're bad at languages also, but you're not. You speak fluent English. Yeah. So give us both a break. Yeah. Appreciate what I'm bringing to the table and stop asking me to do stuff that I'm not, because it's what I've heard for so long. Yeah.
Nobody's really asked me that anymore. I think I've just kind of phased that out. So they've just all talked to me in English now. They're just like, he's not going to do it. So let's just talk to him in English. But it's always new people.
I should say, I don't listen to anyone anyway. So don't bother giving me advice. It's time wasted. Don't listen to anyone. Yeah. And I've got this far in life and I'm still alive. And I love not listening to people. So I'm probably going to keep not doing that.
I would love to contribute. Language-wise, I think maybe in about 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I should be fluent, and that I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you, I have no problems with languages. I speak about 6. So, right about 6. I speak about 6 languages, so language is not a problem for me. It's just that when I came to Norway, it's so many beautiful women, I got carried away. And they always talk to me in English, so I'm like, wow, I don't need to really learn this now. So, it's just that, but you are contributing to the society. You are creating, giving opportunity to people to explore something that you have found worthwhile to you, and you're trying to share that experience with people, right? And that's giving back. As long as you're giving back, and for me, I like to give joy to people when they come out for a night out. Yeah. Maybe my songs can change something in their life. I met this really interesting Malaysian. She's Malaysian Chinese. She doesn't speak Norwegian. Her name's Sophia. Big shout out to you, Sophia. She came right here when I was performing at Fri Bar. And one of the things she said was, you have no idea that there are people sitting there and reflecting on their lives, and you are pivotal at changing something for them. When you're sitting there singing something, maybe your words can really strike somewhere, and that give them that positivity that they can push through. Yeah. So maybe it's that. So you're giving back, right? And you're making films. So when you're making films, you're entertaining a wide variety of people.
Yeah. But it's more than that. It's just getting people out the house every week and meeting people who aren't like them is the biggest value I think the film club does. And I think the films are just a bonus. Or just to have people admit to you what their dreams are, because I think many people feel like they have to stifle them in order to be an adult, when it's like, no, you can sometimes go, God, this was one of the other topics, is like you're bringing up like whether or not you're enough, what you're bringing to the table is enough. Is it like it's enough for you to be out there and changing people's lives with your music, and it's enough for me to live here, run this film club, and be interested in what the next film is, but at the same time, Stavanger is such a random place to end up that lots of people, I think, me when I was younger, you get frustrated at things that aren't happening. Things that aren't happening here that you would like to happen here, and they aren't happening, and then you think, should I be somewhere else? And a thing that I think frustrates me, although I get it about a lot of adults, is this: they're barely ever present in anything they're doing, because they're always thinking about where they should be or something better later down the line.
Yeah, well.
It's a question about being happy here and now.
Yeah, like being present.
Being
present, right? I feel like this is a completely different topic altogether. But being present, this is something that I really talk about, and I've written a short movie that I
about it,
wrote a
yeah.
script
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it, where I really talk, where people, most of the times I feel some people live in the past. They're always living in the past. They're always kind of hurt about some things that have happened in the past. And there's always people chasing a future that is not really concrete in its foundation. It's not solid in the foundation. And to build that foundation, you need to be present. You need to be right here. If you're not able to stay here and see where your life is right now, there's nothing you can do in the future, nothing you can do in the past. You can't go there, you can't go here. You're here. So you stay right here and try to fix everything in the present before you try to jump leaps ahead into the future.
Yeah.
And for whatever fuck's sake, there's no point in going back.
Yeah.
You can't. So try to fix and try to stay in the present and try to see what has created that trauma or whatever that has been, and try to fix it right now so that you can at least live, you can expect to have a life better in the future.
I totally agree. And to tie that into my point about Stavanger is that like, yes, like there was no filmmaking, well, there is filmmaking here, but I don't know anyone. And there's the way that the industry is run. And then you think, I was kind of thinking, actually when I started the club, I had an event and one other guy showed up. He was a Russian guy who likes to make Russian videos on YouTube about how to work your Amazon Alexa and other gadgets and stuff, right? He was the only other guy who showed up to my very first Stavanger Club meeting, and I thought, this just can't happen here. They're all engineers, there's no creatives, like this idea is dead in the water. But I came back and I tried again, and it's because my first event was on meetup.com. The second one I did on Facebook and meetup.com, and everyone in Stavanger uses Facebook, I learned. And then a whole bunch of people showed up and it was great. But I didn't have any skills, and the thing is, like, lots of people associate filmmaking with Hollywood and with big budgets and with being somewhere and being really far away in the US. But now, thanks to technology, you can do it anywhere, very high quality, and staying where you are and making it better has really just helped me add value to my life and to the people around me, rather than thinking, I'm in a place where this can't work, or, you know, my circumstances are not such that this thing that I want can happen. Staying where you are and making it better here in Stavanger has really worked for me, although I know lots of people who would rather be in Oslo. You know, that's my point.
Yeah,
where you are.
because that's where everyone gravitates towards where it's really happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, well, it's 2022. It can happen anywhere.
You can make it happen.
You can make it happen if you really want to, and it's like going to LA. You know, like it's strange. Like, I think people have that perception that California is the place to make it.
Yeah, nobody wants you there.
Nobody wants you there. It's full of people.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Why would you want to go into an already concentrated
and try and prove to yourself?
Saturated market? Like, you're not going to do it. Stay where you are and try to create the world that you want.
Yeah.
Be
there
where
are
you
bars
are.
here for you to sing. There are lives for you to improve here.
Yeah, you can improve here, and, you know, hope that somebody from the outside or from these big leagues will see that, and you're like, damn, that's good. Let's take a piece of that. Maybe that's your ticket to, you know, fame. Yep. But it's really cool that you live here now.
Yeah.
And you have the Filmakers Club, and I've been a part of it, and I see how cool it is. And I apologize for last time. I have about 4 things going on. I kind of bailed a half an hour into the thing.
It's good that you stayed for.
Yeah, but I at least came, and I was really excited, and I was so happy to see close to like 12 people, and I was just like, oh wow, and this is cool, and we took over an entire table, so it's super nice to see that. And I think coming down to the whole Norwegian aspect of stuff, I think Norway is a tough market. It's really hard to get into the Norwegian thing, because you really have to impress them.
Yeah,
you really have to floor them for you to get up there. So I think it's a test. It's a really, really good test. Like, it's a test of skill. It's a test of how much perseverance and determination you have to stick to.
I see your point.
And not cave.
Yeah, no, you raise an interesting point, which is that we have a film in a festival in September, which is in York in the UK. And you can impress people with having an international feature for their festival that's somewhere else. And I've found people outside of Norway are the most responsive just because of that thing I was saying about the set in their ways mentality of like, you know, when I went to my job, people were all growing up, they had their friends, they had their families, that's all good. And the filmmaking industry here is just like, I know the guys who make films, that's okay, we don't want to look at your stuff, you know. It's fine, why, you know, like you say, saturated market, it's, what was my point? Oh yeah, so you mentioned, 12 people showed up to this thing, and there's such a debate that we've even had today about things happening in the real world and people actually talking to one another versus what's happening online.
Yeah.
And you can get caught up in an online world. I see messages, sometimes negative messages that people post on the Stavanger Filmakers Facebook page. But then when I realized if they're never somebody who's attended one of the events, I'm not going to listen to them.
Yeah.
Because they're not actually part of the club. They're just they're on an online thing that's, online communities are too big and too hostile for me. Yeah. I think there's so much value in
keyboard warriors.
People. Yeah,
keyboard. There's a lot of keyboard warriors. It's a whole thing. Like there's so many people who have so many opinions about things that they have never been around. They've never.
But the thing is, it's like if I was walking in the street there and like somebody accidentally bumped into me and then I just went online. Heterosexual men need to stop taking up our space. It's time for it. It's like, no, it's not a big global issue. It's one isolated incident that you've extrapolated the problem with half the world's population. Yeah. And there's so much of this inflammatory nonsense.
Heterosexual men should not do that. And who are you?
You're taking up our spaces. It's time for a revolution. And it's like, what? I might say that just because a random guy bumped into me in the street, you know? I don't know the context. And I don't know whether or not these are real problems. It's just,
no, they're not.
Starting a revolution with every tweet. It's exhausting to read.
You know, it's
not a healthy space to be in compared to the real world.
I'm really passionate about. I strongly believe in men's rights. Like not that all men should be all powerful and no. I just think that it's always been like that for me. Like men's rights are valuable because I'm a man.
Yeah, in the interest of equality.
In the interest of safeguarding men who don't have a voice. I know many. I see a lot of my not a lot of them. There's one or two of them who are my acquaintances. They're not friends of mine. They're acquaintances who have a lot to say about men. And I know one of them who's beaten up a friend of mine. A woman has trashed my friend.
Okay, yeah.
They were in a relationship. She was drunk. And she beat the shit out of him.
Dear.
Completely. And like he had bruises around his eye, a bruise on his scalp. She kind of bit his ear or something. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything there now, but bite marks on the arm and violent. And this is championing, this rallying. And we had an episode released already for the podcast. And the first thing was Men's Right in 2022.
Okay.
And it's funny because there's Women's Day, there's so many days, right? And one of the coolest things he said was, women are good at rallying. They're really good at championing and rallying. They know how to make how to get your attention.
Right.
So men are not like that. In Norway, I've seen women in construction sites, which is fantastic, which I think is amazing. Like they're on the road getting muddy and dirty and stuff like that. But that's another topic. We'll save that for another day.
Well, I think what you're touching on is the pointlessly inflammatory nature of stuff that's online.
Online, it's.
But even I've had arguments with friends over like Facebook Messenger text because I can't understand the tone of the message and they can't understand my tone. Whereas if I have to Skype with them if they live far away. If I just come out and meet with them, all of that dissolves instantly. Yeah. And so I think we need to make more of an effort to meet face to face.
Face to face, yeah. Because I don't like texting. I've told many of my friends, don't text me.
Yeah.
Don't text me. Like,
don't call me either.
Just send me a text to ask questions as to, did you get the tripod? Like what we did.
Practical things.
Practical stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
If you want to talk to me about something, you want my opinion about something, call me, listen to my voice, or meet me.
Yeah.
Face to face.
Although, actually, that raises another interesting point about Norwegians and meeting them and everything. Sometimes when it comes to one of these club events, somebody will be very silent and just sitting there, and I'll feel like, God, did they not have a good time or something? And I'll get a message from them when they came home like, really enjoyed tonight, thank you so much.
But that's the thing with Norwegians, they're so quiet and composed and calm. Yeah. Like there's probably like I've noticed, like I have some, everybody has it. Sometimes, when I get anxious, or when I have an anxiety attack,
Yep.
I'm more you see it, you know something's up, because I can get like really like, okay, whoa, yoo-hoo. But sometimes my best friend is having the worst third degree or first degree in
Reaction or something, but you can't
anxiety,
see it. Yeah.
but she's just,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you had an anxiety attack? You had a panic attack? And she was like, yeah, I was dying. And I was like, I had no idea. You were so calm. But they're always like that. They're so calm and composed, and there might be a war. It's a war zone inside both places, but they don't show it. And it's just because they've always been this, it's in their nature. I think there's a lot of science behind it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like when you're having this panic thing, you're going back to like lizard brain, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're hardly controlling the way in which you express yourself when you're in that extreme reaction. Yeah. You don't choose the way you react.
No, but most of them, I feel like I've seen, like they don't get really panicky. You can see that they struggle, and I feel like it's hard for them to speak. So I always tell my friends, I was like, dude, if you ever need to talk and you just want someone to listen, I will shut up and listen to everything you say.
Yeah.
But just please talk to me.
Yeah.
Just say things.
So that's one thing I would say that I appreciate about the online sphere, is that it gives people the chance to message me things that they wanted to say in person, but they don't react that way. So I think people in a good way, have a way of choosing the way that they interact with one another. But again, that's a way of expanding the one-on-one chat outside of having met them in person, is by messaging me directly rather than messaging all men, saying that they're useless throughout time.
How about getting to know good people? Like, there's so many good men out there.
Yeah.
Other ladies,
Right? Not here, but like the other places.
I have a friend. I have a friend. Like, I won't say her name. She came up to me and she told me that, JereMaya, when I'm sober, it's really hard to talk to you when I'm sober. I'm shy and I'm a little reserved, but just keep talking to me. And I was just like, yeah, I will keep talking to you, but I also want you to break out of your shell a little bit.
Yeah.
You need to push yourself. I can't always talk to you. But I mean, she's not struggling with herself, but I know many, like I had friends who've gone through hell, and I've heard of some massive stories of suicide and stuff like that. That's just people can't talk. It's a different topic. But online sphere, I'm sorry that there are people harassing you like that. There's a lot of people who send me super weird messages.
I wouldn't say that they're like, I wouldn't say they're harassing me. When I step back from it, I realize, they're jealous.
Yeah,
and it's
probably just
a reverse compliment. And it sounds so like cliche to say, or that I'm just bigging myself up. But honestly, when I think about it, I'm like some people, when I talk to them and they're just like, yeah, I wouldn't have been involved in that film of yours anyway. And then I realized, they wanted me to ask me to be part of it.
You wouldn't have been there? Yeah.
It's like, yes, you would have, but you didn't.
Take the point, buddy. You were not invited.
But other times people will come out to meet me and they'll just be like, so what kind of a film club is this anyway? And then I realize they wish they'd thought of it. They wish they were the ones leading it. Hey, if you want to lead it, you can do it. It's so much work, and I only started it because it doesn't exist. If you want it, come take it. But it's not like I just make you the leader of the Facebook group and then it's yours, because people all have a loyalty to one another from having been there over years. The community is not something that, again, when I hear the word community and it talks about online, it's not the same as the way that you're building relationships with real people in the world over years. That's something you can't just come in and take.
It's kind of dissipated, right? Like the reality of things, everything on social media is 90% fake. Let's conclude this, right?
Sure.
And I was thinking that it's always going to be a struggle when you live in Norway for a little while. I think the more you get used to it, it's just like the thing we talked about. It's about the whole keeping at it, right? And I think there's a goodness to the people here, and I love this country, and I love everything that this country's offered me. And it's always about just keep on keeping on, believe in the goodness, and it's always going to come back one way or the other.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be, like I said, there's assholes everywhere.
Everywhere
You go. So there's
but
always
they're a minority. They're a minority
They're a
everywhere.
very
so, yeah.
small minority compared to the greatness of the people here.
Don't let them get to you. Yeah.
So this is a little bit about us and how we moved and why we moved and how we feel. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your life
7.
in Norway?
Oh, like compared to other places I've lived, oof, tough one. Yeah, let's say 8. 8 then.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would give it a solid 9.
Solid 9.
Solid
nice.
9 because my son, I see what the thing is, and there might be people who say like, yeah, he's delusional. Like, yeah, whatever, man. That's your belief. My belief is 9 because I have a great life. I think opportunities are good if you really want it, and if you give back to the people, I think they see it and they respect that, and that's what needs to be present in most places. So big ups Norway, and this is Leo, and my name is JereMaya, and thank you for being with us. And see you in the next one. Peace.